Linda, good morning or good afternoon. What sort? Jesus, what time is the day? Is it?
I don't know. How are you, Deirdre?
I'm absolutely brilliant, and I'm just so delighted to have you here. And just so that anybody knows that's watching, I met Linda, but both myself and Jeanette met Linda. Oh, it must be about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago.
So yeah.
And do you know what? We just clicked. We met at a networking event. We just clicked. Her thinking is exactly this. She's on the same wavelength as us, and she has actually helped out a lot of our past students and present students as well. The other thing is she's a TikTok guru. So if you're into TikTok, stay tuned later on, because we can talk a little bit more about TikTok. But really, Linda, tell me a little bit about yourself.
So my name is Linda Monahan, formerly McGrath. It's still 20 years later, people call me my maiden name. I'm sure it's probably the same, Deirdre. And Corporate Cam, as you can see, is the name of my business. And it came from my move from the corporate world into Cam. Yeah, right, own your own business, Cam. But I suppose it was the alliteration of the business name. That's what gave it to me. And I was trying to really find balance and calm in my own life. So I was in corporate for 15 years in marketing. So my background, I have a marketing degree, and I was in trade marketing. So basically I marketed to the supermarkets. I was in FMCG. I marketed to pharmacies. So I'd be like basically telling stores what the new product or what our offerings this year was going to bring to the party, was going to bring to their bottom line. So business to business marketing was my background. Really well until I had 2 kids. And then it was like, oh, okay, so Linda might not work the 80 hours that she was working for us. And it was funny. I've got a podcast about it, but we struggled to have kids for 5 years, and we went through IVF treatment and fertility issues, and we ended up having 2 kids naturally, but there was a process behind it. There was operations and procedures behind it. So actually work were very, very understanding through all of that. And then I actually had the kids. So I had the first one, and I kind of basically went back to work pregnant. So there was one particular person who was driving the culture of lack of understanding, of not kind of appreciating where you are in your life stage. And they had a team of 8 people. And by the time I left, 6 of the 8 people had gone.
Wow.
So instead of dealing with that person, they just let good talent go. And I've been talking to people in, social media, like the Googles and the LinkedIns and, the tech companies and everything. And that can happen. People can be promoted up when they want to be pushed off a team. And then sometimes the culture isn't actually dealt with. So this person just like, they let like 5 or 6 good female
go,
because children and everything like that, which was really, it was a shame. So prior to that, I kind of, when you kind of know that the writing's on the wall a little bit, I had started on the night of my 37th birthday, I had started training to become a PT. And we briefly chatted about this before. I was looking for something completely different to what I was doing. I just had my second kid. I didn't want to go back into an office. Kind of wanted to work knew I wanted to work for myself. And I was like, what can I do? Without actually looking at the strengths and the key skills that I have myself, I was like, I want something different. I want to change the world. So I became a PT at 37. I walked into the room. I swear to God, I could have been the mother of some of the kids. They were 17 and 18-year-olds. I'd say they thought, who's your granny in the corner? But it was brilliant. It was life-changing. And within 4 months, I got a PT qualification, which was...
And were you still working at this stage? Were you still working full-time, or had you left at this stage?
Because I went and had Gus, my second child, and I never went back to work.
Okay. So was that the triggering moment that decided then, okay, enough is enough. I want to get out of this rat race, if you want to call it.
Yes, exactly. And quickly after a bit of qualifying, I kind of realized that I was going to be in competition with a lot kind of younger people. So I decided that, looking around, and I became a Pilates teacher out of that. So it was really looking and seeing kind of what demographic and what my client was going to look at, like we were just chatting about, what are our ideal clients. and who I was going to appeal to. So I opened my own Pilates school and had my own Pilates school for about 4 or 5 years. Yeah.
Wow,
So,
excellent. So, and what, like we say, when you had that career change and you did start on your own, in your own business, what was your biggest challenges?
oh gosh, time. Two kids under 2, money. Trying to do everything on like a shoestring as well, and not really knowing where to start as well. So like you're kind of out, you're kind of out on your own, and you're like, oh, where do I go to next? So it was really important to investigate what supports I could get, and you know, was there somebody I could speak to without them feeling like I was trying to, you know, come in on their turf. You wanted to have kind of somebody you could speak to as a mentor, because sometimes I feel that, you know, there's maybe a lack of collaboration because people are very protective over their ideas and everything like that. So it was trying to find a mentor.
Particularly in the flower industry, it's probably one of the ones that they're very protective about. And that if somebody gets a bargain or gets something that's really good, or like that, oh my God, that would sell really well, they're really like, oh, don't tell anybody else about it. What did you take?
And you know what? It's funny that it's funny that because there's space for everybody, and you don't realize that until now. I mean, we've chatted about this. There's space for everybody.
We cannot train everyone that wants to be a florist in the whole world, or even in the whole of Ireland. It just can't be done. So tell me, like, from your corporate career, what could you take from that helped you in your own business? So when you moved from one to the next, what was the most important thing that you took? And what was the least important thing, I suppose, that you took?
The most important thing was definitely people skills. So the fact that I had managed a team and I had negotiated contracts with like head offices within FMCG, and, you know, just people skills, and being able to transfer them, because, you know, your Dunnes and your Tesco's and your Boots and everything, they're your clients, and you have to, you know, you have to tread carefully around them. So really taking that and using that with clients, and understanding that the customer may not always be right, but let them think that they are. And that is the biggest. What's the point in arguing with somebody? What's the point in, you know, I'm just a big believer in let people believe that they're right to a certain degree. Obviously not to take advantage or everything or anything like that, but there's so much more to be arguing about in life and to be annoyed with in life. So it was really those kind of people skills definitely transferred over and definitely helped me with the client base.
Do you know, like, again, our clientele, we find in the school, we would have a lot of people like you moving from a corporate background or a healthcare background or something like that. And like you, they have their children, they want to stay at home with their children. And then all of a sudden the kids are going back to school and they're like, oh, do they want to go back into that rat race, as we said, or that corporate world or that stressful world? How did you find that? Did you find that you had more confidence or less confidence, or how did you get the confidence to put yourself out there being a self-employed person?
So that's a really good question, because my confidence definitely dips up and down for sure. And I'm actually creating a program with another person at the moment for corporate, because like cyclically our confidence goes up and down with our menstrual cycle, you know. So we can be at the top of the world during one phase of our cycle, and then we can plummet, you know, coming up to we all know it's like, what's going on here? Why am I such a bitch? And it's like, oh yeah, I just got my period, or, you know, it's 3 days before my period, and really corporate hasn't, they say that there's equity and equality, but corporate hasn't forgiven that. We're meant to play in the same space as men. We're meant to behave the same way as men, but our bodies aren't the same, our minds aren't the same, and there's a lot to kind of catch up with there. So it's a really kind of it's a really new space, and from kind of my mind and like, for me, I've ADHD, so I take medication for ADHD. I've just been recently diagnosed, and my confidence and anxiety pre-medication can plummet as well. So you go into these kind of hyper focused states. So you might, like, I might get 40 hours of work done in 8 hours. Like, honestly, like you get into a zone, but then I might sit on the couch for 2 days when I have a really important project, thinking about, oh shit, I haven't started this project. Oh shit, I have to get it done. But physically cannot get up to
motivation to do
the
it.
project, to, you know, psychologically just cannot do that. And I'm really learning so much about my own mind. Like, I'm going to be 45 in April, and I've only had this diagnosis, and it's life-changing. Like, that brings it back to the confidence thing, in the sense that it really is important to I really think surround yourself with people who are on the same journey as you. So not necessarily like-minded, but actually going the same place as you, because you're not going to grow if you surround yourself with like-minded people, but you are going to grow if you surround yourself with people that are, you know, maybe pushing themselves and, you know, trying to get there. And then, as far as the whole confidence thing is concerned, sometimes it is just an act. And it is, like, I do always think that it's being courageous before you're confident. So it's actually picking up the phone. It's actually going to that networking group. It's, you know, ringing somebody and going, can I be on your podcast? Can I, you know, be on your radio show? Can I, you know, can I do something for you that's going to grow my business as well?
Yeah. And you know what? Like, and particularly within the female industry, I really do think women are there and they will help each other up. As you say, if you rang another woman and said, yeah, absolutely, they'd be there to say, yeah, no problem. What can I do? How can I help you out? You know, in general, you know, I think people are there to help each other. And I think there is a small minority who don't, and a small minority who sort of close off and don't tell things. But generally speaking, I do think, and I know for us, like in a lot of the different networking groups that we're in, and most of them are female led, most of them are women in business, but most of them get where you're coming from in business. You know, what was the biggest challenge for you? Like, when you set up the Pilates school, and after this, we're going to talk about how you moved from there on. But what was the biggest challenge for you for getting business, or for getting your name out there? How did you cope with that?
The biggest thing was understanding obviously the different methods of communication and how to get my name out there, and understanding, like, search engine optimization, the SEO. I know people talk about it over and over, but oh my gosh, it's just so important. Like, it really is. If you can't afford to have somebody build your website, or and you're kind of doing it yourself on a shoestring, or definitely invest in somebody who knows how to do SEO. You know, even if you're building,
even if you're going and doing a basic course, because I know years ago I just done a basic course in it. And I remember we used to use the fancy words because we thought they sounded nice. Oh, this floral design school, or learn flower, and we're like, nobody uses that, nobody searches that. You know, so sometimes it's actually looking from the outside in, and that's where an expert, but also your networking groups, that's where you'll meet these type of people who will help you out in those 100%. Things.
And I mean, the thing about it is as well, there's so much on offer, like from the enterprise offices as well. You know what I mean? So when I finished in corporate, I was entitled to a short-term startup grant. So I actually got €2,000 of a grant and 9 months of social welfare payments while I started the business up. But it's amazing. That's the smaller grant. There's a larger grant as well on offer.
And so there is ones there for your website and for your ads
trading
and
online voucher.
There's lots of different supports out there for not just anyone in business, anyone starting in business. So tell me, how did you move then from being a Pilates instructor into corporate account?
So with everything, I think a disaster happens and then you move on. It's so funny. Sometimes we're never very proactive about our life changes. It's like, oh, something's happened, so I have to. So I created the podcast in March 2021. The Corporate Account podcast, had this idea, passion project. it's do you know what? It's a steady grower. It hasn't gone the places that I wanted to, but I still do it because I love it. Like that's the reality of it. And it's a really good extra social media platform for me as well. Do you know? So that's that you have to look at the positives of it. And what I did was I spoke to really women in general. Like a few men kind of flittered in between the interviews, but I spoke to women about their journeys, and it was journeys from corporate into their own business, from one business to another business, a few people from their own business back into corporate because that's where they wanted to be, plastic surgery journeys. There's been so many different things, and that was kind of March 2021. And after the pandemic, I went online straight away. That's another thing about business. Adapt as quickly as you can. And I know that's how you guys really pushed the online journey because we couldn't teach face-to-face, and we had to do something. So I think within 5 days of that announcement in March 2020, I was online. And I couldn't believe it because mentors that I had didn't go online for the whole of the pandemic. I was like, what, do you know what I mean? What is wrong with people? What happened then was went online, really, really fruitful, and was nominated for a Chamber Award for my online presence over COVID. It was brilliant. It was a really, really good space and a good time. And I was doing the podcast at the same time. And then I got COVID. So I got COVID back in October 2022. So kind of only back face to face, and was fine with it. Isolated, still didn't. People were still kind of wondering what was going to happen and everything like that. But still isolated for 10 days. I thought Dave was going to go mad with kids, but anyway, he survived. I did loads of work for my business in the bedroom during that 10 days, like working away. And then after about a week of being out of isolation and back, I couldn't speak. I couldn't teach. I couldn't talk and digest food. I don't know if it was long COVID. I don't know what happened, but for 5 months, my body completely shut down on me. I was tired. I stopped teaching because I couldn't demonstrate and talk at the same time. I was out of breath. I was like, this is mental. And for somebody who is so fit, it was so frustrating. It was just like, So I gave myself a break. I kind of made up classes and went until December 2022. And then I was kind of like, okay, I'm stopping for a while. Didn't put a time frame on it, just said I'm going to, or maybe it was 2021. I think it was, I can't remember. But I was kind of like, okay, I'm kind of done here. Got COVID again in March, the following March, 5 months later. And it was like as if this big red button went and my whole body reset, and I was grand. After that, I was absolutely fine. It was bizarre. I recovered from that bout of COVID within 5 days, and I was brand new. It was like I never had COVID at all. And it was like, okay, I've been given this huge opportunity. What do you want to do? How are you going to leverage the skills you've had from owning your own business? How are you going to leverage the skills you've had from corporate? What are you going to do that's going to drive your passion? And I wanted to help other businesses. I wanted to kind of mentor other businesses. I wanted to, that's essentially what I wanted to do. And I was probably a little bit scared and my confidence was a bit, oh God, I don't know. And it's ridiculous because like I led a team of 10 people for years. Do you know what I mean? Kind of make a decision. Am I going into business? Am I going back to corporate? What am I actually doing? So I had the coaching certificate, a health and wellbeing coaching certificate from the Pilates and PT. I had everything behind me, and I still was doubting what I was going to do. I was still, and I would say like my message had been very unclear at the very start. For about 6 to 8 months, I was like, you're trying things, you're trying, and it's like, Linda, like focus. What do you want to do? Where do you want to go?
What exactly do you do? What exactly is your?
And that's where a lot of people struggle. So I was like, do you know what? I'm going to bring my skills from business. I'm going to bring my skills from being a sports coach, from being a well-being coach, and I'm going to bring them together. And it was an accountability coach. It was actually, instead of kind of, you know, that whole, I don't get me wrong, I've been to a life coach. I love my life coach, but I was like, no, I want to help you progress your business. I want to hold you accountable in business.
And I think for anybody in business, or anyone settling out there in business, and I think particularly when we hit to a certain age in our life, and like that for women, that maybe they are leaving a stressful job, or they're leaving a different life behind them, or they're moving from the transition of being 100% mammy to now being mammy and, you know, earner, or whatever the case may be. That accountability, if you're doing it on your own, it's absolutely excellent, because it's very easy to sit in an office and I work by lists. List to me is like, I have, like, the book is here beside me with my list so far today, what I know I have to do. There's another list there, that's the week's list that I have to do, but that's today's list, and I work by list. And I suppose that is a way of being a little bit accountable as well. But I think, I know by doing some courses, and I am doing a course at the moment, and I have to have a certain thing done by tomorrow. And that's where having somebody like you can really focus people and move them in business to the next level. And like, you could, and I'm saying this because I know you've done it, is you're not a florist, but you can be a mentor or a coach to a florist, or somebody, or a nurse, or a doctor, or anyone in any business, because it's not about the skills, it's about the mental place, really. Am I right?
Yeah, and it's so funny that you mentioned that, because you've just mentioned service businesses, and I'm really passionate about helping service businesses because they get overlooked.
Somebody, so for a service business, can they get the trading online voucher and use it towards your services?
Absolutely. It depending on what services they seek out. So specifically for social media services, yes, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah. So like, you could want accountability sessions for your social media across all platforms, and actually, so that's one. I sent you over that link earlier on, and it was basically 5, because we talk about habits for life and everything like that, and that's one thing that I'm really passionate about. But actually, habits that generate revenue for you, and one of them is getting on social media, but getting on the social media platform that suits you. Because I see so many service businesses, and they're just diluted, everywhere. And it's just like, guys, seriously, yeah, you do have to have a presence, but make 1 or 2 work for you, and then snowball off of that. You know, so it's, do you know what I mean? Get your Instagram or your Facebook, but that's back to what we spoke about, Deirdre, about your ideal client. Where is your ideal client?
Where is your ideal client? Yes, absolutely. Because for anybody that is watching, explain a little bit about that free download, and it will be in the links in the description underneath. So just explain how they can do it.
Yeah, so just if you download, and it's straight away, it's a 2-page guide, and there's 5 things on it, and it's really looking at effective time management, as opposed, because we talk about time management. There's efficient time management and there's effective time management. Efficient time management, like you can have your list, Deirdre, but if your list isn't making you money, is it effective for your business? Yes. You might be really efficient and going, fuck, I'm taking loads off here today, but what has it actually brought to the party? Like I always say, it's the fluffy tasks and the hard tasks, and the hard tasks are usually the revenue generating, profit making tasks. Like, you know, we can all go into Canva and go, ooh, lovely, you know what I mean? But what's it going to do for you at the end of the day? And then, like, really, one of the other things is, I call it I went between calling it the kind of meh or the pick me list. I don't know if you know, there's it all over TikTok. It's like the pick me girls and the pick me. So basically, it's alluding to Grey's Anatomy and Meredith from Grey's Anatomy, where she kind of says to Derek at the very start 20 years ago, it's like, pick me, choose me, and it's a bit sad. Well, I call it the pick me, choose me list. So basically at the start of every week, and it's really hard. I hate this task. I hate it. But at the start of every week, sit down and write out 15 names of people that you're going to contact about. I feel sick even talking about it. It's horrible, but it's necessary, of people that you're going to contact about your business that week. And if you have 15 names divided by 5, it's 3 a day. So 3 emails or 3 messages a day. And the more you do it, the quicker it gets. But it's actually just getting used to the word no, And what I'm saying about is contacting, can I be on your radio show? Can I be in your podcast? Can I write an article for you? Can I write a blog for you? Can I speak at your event? Can I teach at my 15-minute masterclass in your group? Can I, and it really is kind of brings the nauseous feeling up, but that's your lead, you know what I mean? You can generate so much out of that, like getting over the word no.
It is it is. And I suppose getting over rejection, and don't take it personally when you're rejected. And I think that's what, and again, in business, I think when you're in business, you take every little rejection personally. And it is sort of
definitely.
Yeah. I think when you're starting out, and I think that's where like doing with you, like having the accountability, and somebody saying, yeah, okay, they said no, well, maybe next week they'll be coming knocking. And that has happened to us, where we have asked and somebody has said no, and a year later they're knocking on our door saying, oh, by the way, will you? And we're like, oh, you didn't want us last year, now you want us now. Anyone that's interested in that free download, it's going to be in the links here in the description on YouTube, so click into it and pop over to Linda. So in the business now that you're in, and you're an accountability coach, and you're helping people in business, and you're helping people to grow their business, how did you build your own connections within this industry? What did you do to get more connections that are people, as you say, not particularly like-minded people, but people on the same journey as you, or people that would help you?
I think that the podcast was actually probably really helpful. The people that I met on the podcast, because I've had about 50 guests on the podcast, and the majority of them I've kept in touch with. I've and they'll always come back to me, and if some people are in the top 10 and they can't believe they're there, and they'll share it, and that kind of gives a bit of energy into the brand. Networking groups, for sure. What I've realized now with kind of the ADHD and everything like that, I really have to pick and choose my environment. So if I go to like the image networking event, which is, it's such a little treat, like Deirdre, it's a great night, drinks and canapes and really, really great speakers. But I know I'm spent for a couple of days after that if I go there, so it's really managing my energy and everything like that. And it's kind of finding, I probably work best on a one-on-one or 1-to-2 basis as well, not having that background noise. But there is spaces that you have to go into, even if you don't want to go into them as well. So you have to kind of push yourself out there. And
so, have you any tips then? So you have that experience now of the person who has sensory issues or ADHD. But even for anybody else, what do we call them? Neurotypical, or anyway, I don't know what the proper term is. But
neurotypical and neurodiverse. Yes, so I'd be.
Is that what it is? Okay,
neurospicy, they're calling us now.
What tips do you give for anybody who is starting a business? So they're listening to this and they're like, okay, so I need to get out and network. I need to meet more people who are on the same journey. Not particularly, and I know this is a Flower School podcast, but it's for anybody in any type of business. What tips would you give for effective networking? What would be your top tips?
Like for before you go in. So I would say that we are more like, now if it's your first event, do surround yourself with people that if you do know people. But if it's your second, your third event, you need to have a strategy, and you need to really put yourself out there and not go in and be with the same people.
And that would be something that I would be prone to do. And I would say to Jeanette, okay, we're going to divide and conquer. We each have to talk to one new person because we do. It's like, oh, how are you? And we end up talking to the same people every time.
Yeah. And the thing about it is that that's okay if that suits where you want to be or but it's like, I suppose the biggest thing is like, think of, if you're going to a networking event it's probably going to take about 3 hours to 4 hours. By the time you commute in there, by the time you listen to the spiel, do the networking and commute home. And if you were paying yourself out to a corporate, or you were, somebody was paying you for training, how much would you charge by the hour? And are you going to make that money back in those, you know what I mean?
Yes.
What would you pay? Like, what would you pay yourself in that space? You're not doing it for free. It's time away from your business, from your family. So you have to look at it that, it is business time. And I would say the key thing for me is that I always kind of say, speak to 5 people and then connect with 2 that are going to push you and your business forward. But it's not necessarily there and then. It's thinking about the future and thinking about, because there's nothing worse than connecting with somebody and then they're like, oh, I have this great opportunity. Or, the people that connect you on LinkedIn or following you on Instagram, and immediately they're going to send you a message about what they can offer you or what service. It's it's not, it's like meeting people at networking group. It's about longevity, and it's about creating a relationship that's mutually beneficial. So what can I do for you as well as what you can do for me as well? So I always kind of say, if it's about a 2-hour event, speak to 5 people and then really kind of connect with 2. And you end up, if you have a kind of a strategy like that, you'll end up speaking to more people. Like,
I want to quickly talk about TikTok. So you have an amazing course called Take the Terror Out of TikTok. Why TikTok? What drew you to that particular platform?
So I was scared of it, essentially. I think you know what? It's funny. I think a lot of mentors and coaches kind of create stuff that they found really scary or they found difficult to do, and then can create products out of that. But obviously, you always have to do your research and make sure that everybody else wants that product as well. But TikTok for me, it was like a young person's platform. It was like somewhere that people over 30, I kind of think it didn't venture or didn't, and I was afraid of it. And I'd be honest with you, even with the marketing background, I didn't join Facebook, Instagram. I had no social media till 2018 because it's funny, even though I would be very prominent on social media, I'm a very private person. So I just didn't care about, your Facebook status, or just checked in. I don't care. Like, do you know what I mean? So it was really until strategically I had to use it for my business. I was like,
business, yes.
And then I was kind of like, oh, this is actually a really nice space, because you cultivate your own algorithm. So if you're on the wrong side of Instagram or the wrong side of TikTok, so you're seeing shit that you don't want to see, that's in your control. You can change that. Do you know what I mean? You can scroll past stuff that you don't want to see, stuff that upsets, or
certain things that you enjoy.
Yeah. And then, but it's a good medium to see things that are going on in the world, especially at the moment. But TikTok, it just appealed to me because it was completely new, it was completely different. And what I realized very quickly is it's like a video game. It's like for service businesses, definitely. From my investigate very, very quickly, like looking at your page, it's really visual, and that's what, you guys have done so well on that platform and on Instagram, because you can communicate a story without even having to say words, which is so lovely.
And I suppose that is the joy of flowers as well, is that they are such a visual.
Yeah, it's so visual, and then out of the visual brings people, and then you bring the strategy, and then you bring the story, and then you bring how am I going to use this medium to sell the product. So quite quickly I realized that it was a game, and it was like reaching different levels, so it was, and that's what happens with some who have taken the course. I'm very specific where I'm like, you need to post at least once a day for 30 days initially. And if you're not ready to do that, just don't do it until you're ready to do that.
Yes.
And you don't do it. And the thing about it is that you see people and they're consistent for about 5 or 6 days, and then they fall. Because I'm a lurker. If I have students, I'm in the background and I'm like,
what's
you
going
can
on?
see that they haven't followed through, that they're not using hashtags. One of the biggest gripes that I have is, you know, when, you know, somebody's kind of, you know, not selling your product or giving you a tip or whatever, but they don't have a caption above saying, like I'll talk about like 5 life-changing habits, and I put in the caption 5 life-changing habits for 2 or 3 seconds. And what that does, it directs the algorithm to where it should show your video.
Yes.
So if somebody is scrolling habits, or they're looking up habits, that's where, and it's all about the SEO that we've previously talked about, and it rewards you. It's kind of like, and to be honest with you, it's that's where they get the addiction from as well, because for ADHD, it's kind of like a little bit of ding 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 dopamine as well, you know. It's like, oh, the likes and loves and everything. So you have to be strategic about your time on it as well. And the biggest thing for a business is, if you want to have a business account but you want to share your life on TikTok, don't do it on your business account. Like, really and truly, you can, Instagram is a lot more forgiving for that, because people want, they're nosy and they're kind of like, oh, I want to see what the guys are doing, you know, like, how are Jeanette and Deirdre doing? How's Linda doing? What's going on? And that's what stories are great for. But TikTok is only kind of evolving as far as stories are concerned. And, you know, it's information. It's, what are you selling? Is it relevant to me? Like, people on TikTok, they're kind of a little bit selfish, and they're like, I don't really care if you're doing your walk this morning, but can you give me tips on walking? So if you're, so it's all to do with what you're selling. So if you're selling like you know, sports gear, climbing up a mountain, going for a walk makes sense to what you're selling. If you're, it's fitting it around your actual story. I remember it's really getting your strategy right for the platform, and as well as that, they understand that and they reward you. So it's like, there's certain things that will do, like, so if some people post ridiculous amounts, 5 to 9 times a day, which is not maintainable. But I say to people, even if they post once a day for 30 days, it will start rewarding you and it will give you more views. And there's always that one TikTok, kind of maybe about 3 months into your journey, that will absolutely flip you if you've been consistent. And if there is that one TikTok that is going to go viral and it is going to reward you. Getting to 1,000 followers, hugely important as well, because you can start building shops in, you can start putting links in and everything like that. So, and the big thing about TikTok, having a good presence on TikTok, even if you're not converting on that platform, having your Instagram handle, and they'll go back into your Instagram and they'll go, oh yeah, they are actually a legitimate business. And they'll buy from you off Instagram or off your website, but they may have found you through the TikTok platform.
It is. I suppose you say it's building an online presence, isn't it? So if anybody wants to, I suppose, become more accountable for what they're doing, and in the meantime, learn a new social media platform like TikTok, where can we find you, Linda?
So the website is www.corporatecam.com.
It's in the description.
In the description. I am across social media at corporatecam.com and at The Habit Boss, because I'm big into habits. We didn't even get into that. Go over to
that's another podcast that we talk about habits.
Go over to the social media and have a look at that. So basically, it's there's a variety of products to help you become more efficient. There's the podcast, there's blogs, and then as far as coaching is concerned, there's a variety. So there's 1 month sessions, there's 3 month sessions, 6 month sessions to bring you through your journey. And then I have like a business mentoring session. So it's a soundboard session. So it's a one-off. If you can't commit, if money is a little bit, you know, scarce, it's a one-off session for about 90 minutes, and it's just kind of like a little bit of everything to
everything, and probably focusing you to decide where you need to go. Yes, absolutely.
To kind of see it in good stead. But the biggest message is, you know, do your research, investigate, and like if you're still in corporate, like really, is the grass going to be greener or is it going to be yellow as well? If you're, you know, if you're dead set on owning your own business, research that business, research the client base, research the possibility, because the biggest piece of advice I can give you is that if you cannot find another business that is your business proposition, that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Because if you have an idea, somebody probably should already have done it, because you'll know that it's a viable business, unless it's unique and it's going to change the world or whatever. But really and truly, we're all carbon copies of something that exists already, and it's just improving on it and making it work for us.
Super, Linda. I've really enjoyed this chat, and we could have went on for another hour as well.
I know.
But we definitely will have you back in for habit, all about habits. I think definitely we do need to do a podcast just all about habits. As I said, you can contact Linda, Corporate to Cam. I'll put all her information in the description. Go over and follow her on social media, because she's absolutely, I'd be envious of your 6 o'clock walks in the morning along that fabulous beach.
That's
going in the background. It's absolutely gorgeous. Linda, thank you so
fabulous,
much.
But it's hard work as well.
It's a habit, though. It's a habit.
It is.
Again, thanks a million. I really appreciate it. I really enjoyed this chat with you today.
Thanks, Deirdre. I really appreciate it too.